Well, I've got to say, it's great to see that the Prime Minister has finally grown a backbone. I think some of the words, action and behaviour from Suella Braverman over the course of the last couple of weeks has been astonishing. I've never known a Home Secretary to undermine the police in the way she has sought to do so. But also her language and her behaviour, in my view, led to the far-right thuggery we saw on Saturday morning when hundreds turned up, were incredibly aggressive towards our police. Some of our police were injured, some quite seriously. And these far-right thugs were involved not just in being aggressive towards our police and other Londoners, but in spreading Islamophobia across our city.
I mean, some of the, just on that, the hatred that we saw, the disorder that we saw was ugly to see. Some will say it could have been avoided. It was wholly predictable, and it could have been avoided had the march not gone ahead.
Well, let's be quite clear. We saw thuggery from the far right on Saturday morning, who came with only one purpose: to create chaos in London. I want to pay tribute to the Met Police Service, who policed in an exceptionally professional way despite huge provocation. Also in London on Saturday, we saw more than 300,000 pro-Palestinian marchers, the vast majority protesting in a lawful, peaceful way. A small number, though, did spread hatred. There was anti-Semitism. The police have taken action, and they will take more action.
And you share then, wholly share the view of the Prime Minister, among others, that those who were showing Hamas flags and demonstrations of anti-Semitic hate in that way, they should be hunted down and brought to book. You take that
absolutely. Look, there can't be any place, John, in our city for hatred. We've had, Muslim Londoners, Jewish Londoners who have been petrified over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Every Jewish Londoner, every Jewish person is feeling frightened and concerned. There's a heightened fear, often with justified reasons. The police have already, over the course of the last few weeks, made 200 arrests, more than 150 arrests made this weekend. They are targeting anybody who hasn't been arrested for the events on Saturday. I will say this, though, it's really important to say this. More than 300,000 protesters on Saturday, the vast majority. I don't want to denigrate or make a sweep generalization about them. A small number, though, did behave in a way that is unacceptable and that is unlawful.
All right. So back to today's events. What's your thinking on James Cleverly arriving as Home Secretary? He's clearly, more temperate in his views than Suella Braverman. He's also a bit of an old London hand, isn't he?
Well, I will as ever put out the hand of friendship to the new Home Secretary. It's really important. The Home Secretary works closely with the police and with the mayor and many others across our country. The two most important things I think that I'd say to the new Home Secretary, with the greatest respect and humility, is firstly, look, we should be incredibly proud that our police service have operational independence. It's really important that we provide the oversight and the scrutiny, but when it comes to protests or who to investigate or who to arrest, they have operational independence. And the second thing is, look, the job of me and the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister at this really difficult time is bring communities together, unite our great country, unite our great city, rather than, sowing discord and stoking division. And I know James, he's, he loves London. He's a grown-up, and I'm hoping, and I know he will, behave in a grown-up way.
That sounds like a pretty warm welcome for James Cleverly. I mean, you would offer to work constructively with any new occupant of that office at the time of their taking the job. But you sound optimistic. You can have a constructive, cordial, even friendly relationship with James.
I've had 8 Home Secretaries in the last 7.5 years. I always, send them a text, put out a hand of friendship, write them a letter, welcome them, saying I look forward to working with them. James has an advantage. He's worked in City Hall. He knows London. Actually, I've got to say, during his tenure as Foreign Secretary, I think he's behaved in a way that's responsible. And I'm really hoping to work closely with him. He's got the temperament, I think, to try and bring communities together, using his life experiences in a positive way, making sure he understands the challenges we face. He spent a lot of time in the Middle East over the last few weeks. He understands the tensions, but also he understands the importance to support our police during these difficult times.
You almost sound like Sadiq, someone who could serve in James Cleverly's ministerial team. And what did you say in your text to James
Well,
Cleverly?
I think he'd want to serve in, my mayoral administration rather than me serving in his ministerial team. But I don't share, private texts and stuff. The key thing is this, though. There's a bigger point here, which is there may be new titles today, but it's the same old Tories. And with some of the people coming back, it's back to the future. The key thing is we don't want another reshuffle. What we need is a general election. And so whether it's James or whether it's Cameron or whoever it is, the reality is it's the same old Tories. And the idea you have now in the Foreign Secretary, not just the architect of austerity, but the architect of Brexit, the most damaging piece of foreign policy inflicted on our country in a generation.
Well, with David Cameron, obviously, he campaigned against Brexit. He called the referendum, but he campaigned against it. You've been very frank about James Cleverly and been very warm. What would you say about David Cameron's reappearance in the cabinet now?
Well, it was because of David Cameron's weakness that he had this referendum. His fear of Nigel Farage, and the rest is history. We're paying the price of not just Brexit, but the extreme hard Brexit we have. But, Lord Cameron has got a really important role now. He's got to work, I think, closely with partners in the Middle East. I would hope he would use the influence we have with our allies, Israel, to call upon them to have a ceasefire. It can't be right. And we've seen over the last 4 or 5 weeks, more than 10,000 people losing their lives in Gaza at the hands of the Israeli military, 4,000 children. It can't be right. Hamas, committed terror on October the 7th, more than 400 people dying, still have hostages, more than 200 people. You're not going to get a ceasefire unless you call for a ceasefire. And, previous British governments in the past have managed to call for a ceasefire and then get a ceasefire. I'm hoping David Cameron, using his experience as Prime Minister for the period that he was, but also his international experience, will use that to call upon a ceasefire to make sure we can stop the killing, stop the bloodshed, and instead have some peace in that part of the world, leading to a two-state solution, a safe and secure Israel, a safe and secure and viable Palestine.
Okay, I know you're pressed, Sadiq, so this is the last question. I mean, you'd like to see David Cameron use his influence to press for a ceasefire in the Gaza conflict. What about the Labour Party? The leader of the party, Keir Starmer, is refusing to do that. You want to see a ceasefire. Is it reasonable of Keir Starmer then to tell his shadow ministers not to advertise their differences with him by calling for that ceasefire?
Well, look, Keir Starmer and I agree on so many things when it comes to the Middle East. We both agree on a two-state...
Yeah, but not this.
Well, no, on a two-state solution, we both agree that food, water, essential supplies got to reach those in Gaza. We both agree that there needs to be an end to this killing. And the point I've made in the past in relation to this is I think it's perfectly possible to, disagree agreeably, as we do.
So great to talk to you. Take care.